Good evening and welcome to the Top 25 Rundown presented by the Sportscast. Today is September 6th, 2023. If you haven't yet, please subscribe on all your channels YouTube, Twitter, Twitch.tv, and Apple Podcasts. If you are on Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating and review. It'll help us out tremendously. We are also on DAB Digital Radio. You can listen to us on your smart speaker, play Sportscast. Visit us on the sportscast.net. Also follow us on Twitter at the Sportscast1 and check out the Sportscast in your iOS App Store. Hello, my name is Alan West. Welcome to the Top 25 Rundown. And it's top 25 college football season, so when I get the chance, I got to get Tyler Turner back on. How are we doing, sir? I know the work you've been doing for the Turner Cast, so that's been keeping you busy. So I'm glad you're able to make a few minutes time to come on and I'm not gonna say gloat, but your team definitely did better than my team did. We both won at least, so.
Yeah, good first week of college football.
We had a few upsets too, which were pretty. I'm not sure if amazing is the right word, but they were pretty. How about eye-opening? Which one would you say was the one that was more eye-opening to you from the first week?
So I'm guessing when you're referring to the two upsets, you're referring to Colorado over Texas Christian and Duke over Clemson.
We can go with those two, yeah. Yeah, those two.
Was there any other games that you would qualify as upsets this weekend?
Well, for the top 25, not really. If you wanted to say go besides that, but
Florida State and LSU was not an upset, but I was a little surprised at how lopsided the game was. I thought it was going to be a really, really close game, and it wasn't. So while it was not an upset, I was a little bit surprised at just how not close it was. Yeah, other than that, I'm trying to think. No, I think it was kind of chalk.
yeah,
I think it was kind of chalk. Of the
it seemed like
upsets, what game?
blowouts as well.
Well, who okay, what team impressed me most this weekend? Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a very experienced and good quarterback. I think they have two really good wide receivers, especially one in Keon Coleman. I think they have a couple solid running backs, especially Trey Benson. And they, have enough on defense. They have an elite pass rusher in Jared Verse. Their defense, I still could see. LSU left some points on the table. I think they turned it over once in the red zone, and then another time they turned it over on down. And really, in the first half, LSU actually had almost 300. No, they did have 300 yards of total offense, left some points on the table. But I was just extremely surprised at how, the second half was a complete domination by Florida State. Like, this was not even close. And that one surprised me. Of the two actual upsets, I'm not going to lie. I was surprised by how good Colorado looked. I really did not think they were going to be, hey son, I'm doing something. Sorry, my son walks in here at 10:13 at night. He should be in bed. Can you see him? I was surprised at how, like Colorado, like they won. At TCU, and beat them fair and square, and just had a ton of really dynamic plays on offense. Have a very, a solid quarterback, a terrific two-way player in Travis Hunter. That freshman guy, I think is Edwards or something, running back, had a great game, and they won. Do I think TCU is as good? No. When I looked at TCU's roster, I'm like, they turned over a lot, especially on defense. And so that was a lot of new defensive players on that team. So I do think it was one of those situations where no one knew what to expect of Colorado. It was a total new roster, and TCU had some question marks on defense. They exploited it. Now I'm seeing so much hyperbole when it comes to Colorado. Like, people are like, man, they should be a top 10 team. Can they make the playoff? No. I think ultimately they have really serious problems on the line of scrimmage, offense and defense. I think like someone like Oregon in a couple of weeks is going to beat them by like 28 points at Oregon. But it is a good story. They do have some dynamic athletes. Shadur Sanders was impressive. It was good. It was good. And
Yeah.
the Duke Clemson game,
Huh. That was incredible.
something's off with Clemson these days. Like I
They
thought the
haven't been
last
the
couple, yeah,
same since Venables left for one.
I wouldn't no, well, they weren't even great his last year. They
Okay,
were 10
well,
and 3 his last year. I wouldn't have said that it's Venables because actually their defense, the defense is not what I say is off.
I'm
It's
wondering
actually
if they
it's
really
actually
haven't
more the
recovered
offense.
since Lawrence left. It kind of feels like that.
Well, their biggest problem is in their wide receivers are just so marginal. What happened to Mike Williams? What happened to T. Higgins and Amari Rogers and all these good wide receivers? Their wide receivers don't get open. I feel bad for DJ Ugolago. I can't say his last name, or
Yeah.
Kale Kubnik. I just feel as if their wide receivers. I mean, they're never open. The only thing you can complete is like 5-yard outs to them or the running backs, and it's really made the offense a lot less explosive. And they actually in the second half moved the ball. They just turned the ball over like twice inside the 5-yard line,
Exactly.
and Duke took advantage of it. And I think that Riley Leonard guy is a pretty good player. And I think Duke has a pretty good defense. They're physical. They have some pretty good defensive linemen. And I think Duke was better than a lot of people thought. And I do think Clemson is not as good.
Yeah. I mean, it's still possible for them to win the ACC, but this definitely hurts them in some ways.
I mean, I picked them to win the ACC. Geez, I picked them to make the playoffs. No,
Yeah, I mean, it is.
I the no. I know they play Florida State and Notre Dame at home. They are one of the best home teams in college football. They've only lost once in like 6 years at home.
Mhm.
But I think Florida State and Notre Dame are better.
I do too, honestly. I mean, it
Yeah.
just
What I've seen
as
of the
much as
team.
I'd like to, like even the small sample size we got, just watching how it was. I mean, Jordan Shipley's a great player, and he did what he could. But I mean, when you can't have others catch passes, like you said, more than just like 5-yard out, you're not going to be that successful. And I mean, they were trying. You could see that they were trying, even though those two turnovers in the red zone did hurt them, especially that 70-yard return. The thing was, they don't trust their offense. And I mean, didn't I believe they had a field goal blocked as well? I
Like
know
which
they
one?
had at least one blocked.
Yeah, that and they also missed a 22-yard field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, I mean they could they like if they make those plays, they make a couple field goals, score a touchdown in the red zone. Obviously, that's a different game.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at the score in 28-7, you're like, wow, now the first half, Duke did pretty much dominate.
Oh yeah,
Duke
they
couldn't
did.
score. Duke kept on like failing the red zone, and Duke turned the ball over inside their own red zone, and
Mm-hmm.
that was Clemson's one touchdown. So to be fair, Duke played better in the first half and were down
Mm-hmm.
7-6, and actually Clemson played better in the second half, but they had two terrible turnovers, and Duke was able to put it away at the end. I would say though, if you look at statistics and stuff, it was a pretty close game.
It
The
was.
tw-
It
the tw-
was.
the tw- sorry if my kid is my son loud in the background. Oh,
Don't worry about it. Keep going. Keep going. You're good.
20. No, I'm just making sure. 20. He's supposed to be in bed.
I understand. I understand.
um, 28-7. So, it looks like a really lopsided game, but it was closer than the score would indicate. But yeah, I don't know. Clemson just looks off. They're just not explosive. They don't seem to have the swagger they used to.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is not adjusting to the transfer portal. He's not using it at all.
Mhm.
I heard he's not great on NLI. I heard he's a little more old school with it. And
Mhm.
they have to do something different because if he doesn't
They do.
change, he's just never going to win a national title again. He's still a great coach. He's won 2 national titles. He's been to the
Mhm.
college football playoff 6 times. He's played for the national title 4 times. But if he doesn't change, I just got a feeling he's going to be left behind.
That's
And right
true. I
now,
mean,
Florida State's better. So
oh yeah, without question. I mean, I like how Brian Kelly said that they were going to win, and then he had to backtrack off those comments. I don't know if you saw that or not.
oh yeah.
He he's
Brian Kelly puts his foot in his mouth sometimes. He just
yeah, it
whatever.
feels like that's his second home half the time for his foot. So
Well, and Diablo's not great either. So both of them,
that,
hope I think
that's
got.
true.
I think both of them got humbled a little bit.
That's definitely true. I mean, let's see. So my Buckeyes did win 23-3. That wasn't much of a game, and they are going to have some issues because, granted, it was Kyle McCord's first game, but you've got one of the most explosive players in college football, and you couldn't even really get him the ball, which is a problem. I mean, I'm waiting to see how it goes next week against Youngstown State. So we're going to see if it's going to be different, but the way that he started, a little bit more rough than I kind of would have expected for it.
Yeah, I didn't really see the game, so I can't really attest to it. So I'll trust you. I saw it was 23-3, and I've heard some feedback from podcasts that the offense was kind of defense looked good.
Yeah. I mean, the only touchdowns that were really scored was by Mayan Williams for Ohio State. He was the only one who scored by touchdown. So,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, the defense, they were mad they gave up 3 points, but
Now they did get dropped in the AP poll, so obviously the AP poll voters were not as impressed.
yeah, I mean, I kind of figured that it's just because when you look at all the scores over the weekend, the majority of them are blowouts, including one of the biggest blowouts the week, a little known school named Oregon beating Portland State. It was a very close game, 81-7.
Did you see that game?
I saw some of it, and I mean, it just
It was yeah, it was. I'm an Oregon fan, but I also like just watching good games, and it was not a good game. It was the
no,
most lopsided game that I don't know, maybe I've ever seen. Because okay, it was 81-7. But what if I told you there was only one turnover? So that literally means it was just going up and down the field, scoring touchdowns of 12 or 13 drives. I think the only time they didn't score a touchdown was when they had a third string quarterback in. They weren't doing anything fancy. It was literally like run the ball, throw it, touchdown, run, touchdown. Yeah, it was, it was, oh, it's an FCS school. Let's see how good Oregon's this week against Texas Tech. I mean, I think Oregon's pretty good. I said that. I picked them to make playoff, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
actually, other years when I picked them, I was like, I don't know. I like them best. This year, they kind of have a tough schedule in the second half, but they legitimately have a good team. I mean, how you look at it is if you have a good quarterback, they have one of the best quarterbacks in college football.
hmm
You have some good wide receivers, they have one of the best wide receivers in the Pac 12. If you have a good running back, they have probably the best running back in the Pac 12. I mean, you're going to score.
yeah.
And their defense just has to be decent. So I'm interested. Texas Tech is a good test. In Texas Tech is a pretty good offense. I want to see how this defense is. The defense was pretty inconsistent last year, so I want to see how the defense is. But their offense is good.
I believe Texas Tech lost this week.
They lost to Wyoming.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, they're gonna be pretty upset coming into this game. So I'll be curious to see how they measure up to Oregon, just because depending on if they have, say, a little bit of extra motivation.
I think they will. It's at home. I think they will have extra motivation. I think they're going to play better. I just don't know if they have the people. I watched that Wyoming game, and I just, I think on defense, there's not a lot of great pass rushers on the team. They don't stop the run great. On offense, they don't run the ball well. So like a one-dimensional team that can't run the ball and can't really stop the run. I mean, Oregon can run.
Oh yeah.
So I think Oregon ends up running a lot on Texas Tech because where Oregon can run, and I don't think Texas Tech will stop them. And that's also a good way to kind of take the soul out of the team, establish the line of scrimmage, and also that takes when you beat a team on the ground that can take the fans out of the game. To actually to have the running advantage, specifically if you have a team on offense that can run the ball really well and you can stop the run, you really make teams one dimensional, and it's really good for road victories.
Very true. So the game that kicked off week 1 was Florida and Utah. And Florida, they were able to score 1 touchdown toward the end of the game, but correct me if I'm wrong, it felt like the offensive line was not giving Grant Mertz any time to throw the ball. It felt like he was more running for his life the majority of the game.
Yeah, I didn't to be honest, I didn't watch a ton of this game, but from what I saw was I don't think Florida's very good. I don't think they're a very good team. I think they have trouble protecting the quarterback. I don't think they're that talented skill positions. I think Graham Mertz is an average quarterback. I think they're a little better defensively, but Utah was playing with like a backup quarterback. I think Utah's even a little limited offensively. So I don't think they played against a great offense. So I don't even know if Florida's defense is good. And Utah, I mean, they won with a backup quarterback. They played good defense against a bad offense. Good victory by Utah. I don't know how good they are. They also are playing a team this week in Baylor that I don't know. Baylor lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
lost to Texas State.
yeah. So is Utah like how good are they? I don't know. We'll know for a while.
No, the only thing, excuse me, that was bad for Florida in that game, literally the first pass that they threw was a touchdown. Literally the first pass that the Utah quarterback threw
Yeah,
was a 70-yard touchdown.
I remember that.
So I mean, when you saw that, it's like, well, that's not a good start. We're going to see how it goes. But it just watching that, you could just feel Florida deflating, giving that up, and okay, now we got to play from behind. And after that, they just couldn't get anything going. That's just
Yeah.
how it felt to me watching the game. So
It was that from what I saw, I don't think it was a very entertaining game.
that it
It's
seems
getting
like
late.
for this week, the name of the game for most games is blowouts. You had Georgia beat UT Martin 48-7. You had Michigan beat East Carolina 30-3. You had Alabama beat Middle Tennessee State 56-7. You had USC beat Nevada 66-14. You had Penn State beat West Virginia 38-15. You had Washington beat Boise State 56-19. Speaking of that,
Impressive.
yeah, it
Impressive.
was, and
Yeah, Washington looked good.
they did, and our buddy Chris Caravello, who was on last week, right now he's doing a 300-mile endurance race, so hope he is able to complete that, and look forward to having him back on the show, and hope that it goes
Oh,
as well
wow.
as possible for him. Yeah, he's doing that right now, so
Why?
he is a endurance.
He's an ultra runner.
Yes, yep, he enjoys that, and so
Was he
this
ex
week
SEAL? Was he a SEAL?
I don't believe he's a SEAL now.
He was in the Navy though, or is in the Navy.
He is in the Navy. Yes, that is correct. Yeah, he's doing a 300-mile race this week, and we
He's a
wish him nothing but the best
he's
of
a
that.
Duke. He's a Duke fan though. Good guy, but he's a Duke fan.
I thought it was Washington.
Duke. It's called the
Uh
Washington. Yeah, Washington Huskies are
okay,
called the
okay, yep,
Dukes.
yep.
It's a
That's right. That's
derogatory
right.
name.
That's why you caught me off guard with that. Okay, okay, fair enough, fair enough. Let's see. Texas beat Rice 37-10.
Didn't look good.
Tennessee,
Texas didn't
they
look
did.
good. No,
Yeah. So
but maybe they're looking ahead to Alabama. Either Alabama. Okay, it's either two things. They were looking ahead to
Mhm.
Alabama. We're just not there, or Texas is overrated for the 30th year in a row. We'll find out this
both of
weekend.
exactly both are viable options, that's for sure. You had Tennessee beat Virginia 49-13, and well, even though Virginia, you knew they were going to lose, just them getting on the field for the first time since the three players had died, that was something in itself as a victory after last year. Because when that shooting happened, they canceled the rest of the season. So they did announce this game this week. They are going to do a little tribute for the three players who passed away, which definitely a good thing, and respect to them. But yeah, unfortunately against Tennessee, you knew that they weren't going to win, but I was hoping they would score a little bit more, but I was happy that at least they did score whatsoever, honestly. I mean, it's because I'm brave, but I wasn't even going to pick Virginia to beat Tennessee. Then you had Notre Dame beat Tennessee State 56-3. We already talked about Oregon and Portland State. Kansas State shut out Southeast Missouri State 45-0. We talked about Colorado beating TCU 45-42. Wisconsin beat Buffalo 38-17 in Luke Fickell's first game with the Badgers.
Wasn't that impressed with Wisconsin? Hopefully they look a little better this week.
Exactly. Oklahoma shut out Arkansas State 73-0, and you had to feel for Butch Jones after that game because that was just a beating.
That's not an FCS team either. So impressive,
Yeah.
impressive win by Oklahoma.
Yeah. North Carolina beat South Carolina, so I was wrong about
Oh,
that.
oh,
But
oh, talk about that game. Okay. So I picked
Mhm.
North Carolina in the pick 'em, and then I go over and do a winners and losers or pick 'em also for the pregame show for Liberty Flames, and I
Huh?
picked South Carolina. So
Oh,
I literally picked totally opposite. So but I know what I was having trouble dealing with that game to come in who I thought was going to win. I know Drake May's very good, but I thought South Carolina was a better overall team. I was wrong. Drake May is still very good, but actually North Carolina is much better on defense. They actually
hmm
got after the quarterback well. South
yes, they
Carolina is
did.
not very good at offensive line. And so
Mhm.
actually North Carolina is just straight better. And that's why they won by 14 points.
Yep.
They
Yep.
actually weren't as close. They weren't really as close roster wise as I thought.
Yeah, when I was watching the game, I thought the same thing. I was hoping though, because like I said, I'm picking South Carolina for the SEC. That was why.
That ain't good. That was, dude. What were you doing with that pick? Like, I know you like to be sometimes, but like seriously, bro. Like, you didn't seriously think South Carolina.
I was hoping, but I mean, it's
Well,
just because
but
I
you're
didn't
like,
want to pick Georgia, didn't want to pick Alabama,
that's
and
not a reason not to pick someone. Because then then you get made to look foolish because I mean South Carolina was not going to win the East, and now they didn't even beat an ACC team in a non-conference game. Wasn't even that close. Lost by 14 points.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
And now you have
I,
to ride or die with that
that's
pick.
okay. That's
That's like
okay.
that's like a 6-16 this year.
Hey, let's see how Clemson is this year, sir. So we'll see. Let's not pop the cork on that either yet. So we'll see how they do the rest of the year.
What does Clemson have to
Getting
do with South Carolina?
Clemson was your pick for the ACC.
Wasn't that your pick too? Oh no, it was Florida State. But Clemson is not an outlandish pick. You have to admit, South Carolina, no one is picking them to win the East.
True, but I
Like
was for me.
Clemson is the media favorite to win the ACC. You went with a team that like no one's picking to win the East. Like Tennessee was actually, if someone was picked to finish second, Tennessee was the most popular pick for second.
True, because of Joe Milton the third. I got you. Yeah. Well, for me, I wanted to think outside the box. Unfortunately, thinking outside the box this time may have burned me pretty bad. So you know what? You win some, you lose some. I got the rest of the year to figure out if I can make a better pick for next year. So you know what? It's okay. I've made worse picks before, and I'll make worse picks again. I'm not
It just seems easy. You could pick Alabama or Georgia and probably be right about 50% of the time.
true. I mean, for me, although I could have done that, I like to challenge myself. Although this may be too much of a challenge, you know what? It's still worth a shot. So
And then was
anyway,
it LSU who you picked to play in the SEC title game? And I'm wondering
I
if
believe
that's.
so.
I mean, they still could. They last year lost and turned it around. They still could.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried though. They're not good at defensive back.
No, not at all.
They really aren't good. And there's going to be they're going to play other teams that can throw the ball. So,
Yeah, it's gonna be a liability, absolutely.
yep.
Uh, Getting back into the scoreboard though, Ole Miss beat Mercer 73-7. Texas A&M beat New Mexico 52-10.
They look better.
They did. So we're gonna see how Bobby Petrino does this year as offensive coordinator. You have Tulane beat South Alabama 37-17. You had Iowa beat Utah State 24-14.
Not impressive.
Hmm. Then on Sunday you had Florida State beat LSU 45-24, and you had Oregon State beat San Jose State 42-17.
They actually look pretty good.
They did.
They
They
look better
did.
against you than USC did against San Jose State.
Yep. Yeah. No. For me,
Feel actually
my
pretty
dad.
good. I feel pretty good about the Oregon State in the Pac-12 championship prediction.
It's possible. That's definitely sure. I mean, my dad went to San Jose State, so that's why for me, I know about the Spartans a little bit. So I was curious to see how they're going to do this year.
Gotcha.
Still going to be kind of a rough year against some of the teams they're playing, but still, they haven't looked as bad as they could have against some of the teams that they've already played in the Pac-12.
Who?
Because they played USC to start off the
Oh,
year, and now they played Oregon State.
they look better against USC. Against Oregon State, because it was even more lopsided than that. I think it was like 42-3, or at least 42-10. That was a really they got their butt kicked by Oregon State. Against USC, they were competitive. At one point, they were only
Yeah, it
down
was
by like
56-28.
but there was one point in like the third quarter, they're only down by like 14 points or 10 or and
Well,
then
at
US
halftime it was 21-14
yeah, okay.
USC,
Yeah, so it
and
was
then
it,
yeah.
they gave up a punt return
Mhm.
and I think they turned the ball over. They did some things, but the USC San Jose State was a entertaining game and I was kind of impressed with um San Jose State. Oregon State, they pushed them around.
They did, they did. And I mean,
I think Oregon State's pretty good.
yeah, I mean, with all due respect, just with how the implosion of the Pac-12 is, if Oregon State does turn out to do really well this year, that could make it to where when they're trying to reorganize the Pac-12, however they're going to try to do it, that could help.
Maybe it really does boil down to money and marketing though.
Right.
And where like what's it going to help? Like who do they have to add? Mountain West schools? I just think that it just becomes a bigger Mountain West. I think basically they're in the Mountain West now. So I look at it.
Probably. I mean, say they got really lucky and got BYU.
Why would BYU leave the Big 12? They just joined.
True, but say if they wanted to do something with schools that were closer in the West, that could
I
be something
think
they
they
could do.
I think they signed a grant of rights. I don't think they can.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they signed like a 5-10 year grant of rights. So I don't think they can. Without massive penalty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, it was just something that I thought about that I was just looking into because it just
I tell you what, one thing I thought of this weekend is
Mhm.
The Big 12 next year, like for instance, you take out Oklahoma and Texas, the Big
Yep.
12 did not have a very good first week. I mean, TCU lost, Baylor lost, Texas Tech lost. Like, and they're adding like Arizona's not that good. Arizona State's really not that good.
Uh-huh.
And Colorado might actually end up being good. I mean, if Dion can get the recruits there, they actually might be good. And then Utah solid. But I was just thinking next year, like if you took the Big 12 and put them in right now in the Big 12 as it is now,
Mhm.
they would only have like 2 ranked teams. They're
Yeah.
I don't know how great that conference is going to be. I think it's to be determined. They just don't have any great brands, and I just wonder if the better players are going to keep on going to like the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC. I think the ACC is actually in a better place than people want to give it credit for. I just think the Big 12 is definitely going to be a distant number 4 in the Power 4. That's my opinion.
That's fair. I mean, one other thing I saw is remember how I had talked about the underage gambling that was going on in Iowa and Iowa State?
I do remember that.
Yeah, I found out they actually talked about today that Hunter Deckers and 4 other current or former Iowa State and Iowa athletes have pleaded guilty to underage gambling, a reduced charge after state investigation of sports wagering. Deckers, offensive lineman Jake Remsburg, former Iowa State player Dodge Saucer, former kicker Ian Bloom, and former Iowa baseball player Gary Christensen all entered guilty pleas. And so by doing that, they have a fine of $645. And that's it. That's all they're going to deal with, unless the NCAA decides to so-called man up. They're saying that the only one who's really dealing with anything is Remsburg. He's facing a six-game suspension. Deckers is not participating in team activities, but the other players who were part of the investigation, they've left the program. Yep, I understand how that is. I'm surprised he's still up though.
Kid, he never goes to bed. Never goes to bed.
I mean, he thinks about the bet at least, so that's
Iowa,
something.
Iowa and Iowa State are playing this week, aren't they?
Yes, yes, they are.
Where are they playing at? Iowa State. Well, it doesn't matter really. I mean, it's gonna be both fan
I think it's
bases.
in Iowa.
Okay.
Let me
I
check.
think who knows. Iowa's so unimpressive the last few years. I'm beginning to wonder if they need to move on from Kurt LaFrance. And I think he's a great coach. He's just been there for too long. He's been there for 20 some years.
Yep.
I think they need to. You know that Iowa's only had 2 coaches over the last like 40 years.
Hayden Fry and Kirk Ferentz, I believe.
That's it. But
Yeah,
it's a new Big Ten. You have USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington coming. I just wonder if they need to go a different direction. Otherwise, they'll find themselves just being very mediocre.
yep. And actually, it is going to be at Iowa State.
Okay. And
It's a Treacherous
Iowa, you have to understand, Iowa's the biggest thing in the state.
Yes, it
Every
is.
single person in Iowa is a massive Hawkeye fan. So for
Yep.
them to be marginal is not popular in Iowa. They like Iowa to win at least 8, 9 games, win a big game a year, play in a decent bowl. So if Ferentz goes out and has, let's say, hypothetically, a 6-6 season, and they have this new Big Ten where you have all these really good teams coming to it, I could see them saying, "Hey, Kirk, we love what you did, but can we go a different direction?" And I don't think they'd fire him, but they'd like kindly like ask if you would step down because
Yeah.
he's been there for 20 some years, and I just think the game has changed immensely. Transfer portal,
Yep.
NLI, all of this. I just think that maybe Iowa is getting left behind a little bit.
Well, part of what it is he actually his players, he makes sure that he'll make it to where the seniors play over the people who could be less talented or more talented underclassmen. He's old school in that respect.
What? Yeah, I guess, but I don't think he gets a lot of talent. So I think he really relies on development. Yeah, turn it down. It relies on development, and by their junior, senior year, they're better players. And if you look at how good he's developed players, Kirk Ferentz has developed more NFL tight ends than almost any other
Yep.
school in all of college football.
Mhm.
I
That is
mean,
true.
Greg Kittles, DJ Hawkinson, Dallas Clark. I'm missing some. They had won this last year. The amount of
Yep.
guys he has on NFL rosters have been Pro Bowlers that
Mhm.
were high draft picks. That kid who played for Denver for a while, he was drafted in the first round. He's done a great job. He's done great on the offensive line. He's had
Yep. Robert
Brian.
Gower for one.
What?
Robert Gower, I believe, went to Iowa. If
Yep.
memory serves.
Brian Beluga, who's been
Mhm.
a first round pick. They have that Tristan Wirth, who was a
Yep.
top 10 pick. I
Yep.
mean, offensive line tight end, he's developed as good as anyone. And a lot of these guys were 3-star recruits. So he's done an amazing job of developing talent. He's had
Yeah.
great teams at Iowa that have well overperformed their talent level.
Yeah.
I just think there's something like right now they're like stuck in like 1990, and I just don't see it getting better. I actually see it getting worse. So I'm just wondering if I need to change it up a little.
It's possible. We're gonna wait and see about that. And speaking of that, let's why don't we jump into our picks real quick that we both made. I know I made the picks, so I don't know. Did you make your picks for this week yet?
Can't you see my picks?
Let me jump in real quick.
Because my son has my phone right now and it's on there.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, I do. I did do my picks. Yeah, I did.
Log in real quick. Cause yeah, I finally was able to log in and set it up.
Thank God.
I
You joined mine, right?
did.
Okay.
I did.
Did you send it to the other guys?
I did. I mean, I don't know why they didn't, so I can't say for that, but let's see. Go back. Yes, it shows me week 1 for now for you. Doesn't show me week
Well,
2
you
for
go
some
through
reason.
them. I'm gonna try to remember them. I
That's fine.
I don't know what I might be wrong on a few. I might
Yeah, it says
might have picked a different one.
because games haven't started, they won't show the picks yet, but let's see. Yeah, I completely for this week. For last week it didn't go very well, so let's see.
It went horrible.
Watch on here, it won't even let me look at them, even though I made the picks.
Just go through the games and we'll try to do the best we can.
Here we go. Now I got it. So for NC State against Notre Dame, I'm gonna pick the upset. I'm gonna pick NC State.
I believe I am a little worried about that game. I believe I picked Notre Dame and I believe I picked to cover.
Okay.
Did you
Utah.
pick? Oh yeah, you would have picked cover. Never mind.
Yeah. So Utah and Baylor. I picked Utah.
Yeah, I picked Utah.
Now, the next game is going to be an interesting one. It's Nebraska and Colorado. I'm going to pick Coach Prime because I don't think Matt Rule showed me enough yet to where I feel confident that they're going to be able to win. So I'm wondering if it's going to be just like how it was with Scott Turner, how they would lose, or Scott Frost, sorry, how they would lose an under touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, I
So,
think I think eventually Rule's going to be better and get them to go in the right direction. I wonder about this year. I did actually, for some reason, I just see Colorado on this big high coming back and just kind of laying a dud. Yeah,
okay.
I don't trust. I'm not, do you believe? Do you believe? Dion.
Uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
know I don't believe Dion. I'm still not convinced they're going to be consistent. I still think they have holes.
Mhm.
I actually think Nebraska pulls off the minor upset at Colorado.
Hey, if they did, I'll be happy for them just because they
Mhm.
really need it. Now we have Texas A&M and Miami. I picked Miami,
What's the spread? See, because some of these you have to do spread.
4.5.
No, I picked Texas A&M, and I probably to cover too.
Okay.
I just think Texas A&M's better. Texas A&M just has a little more talent on the roster. I saw enough last week. I just think they're a little better offensively, a little better defensively. I think they just have better baseline talent.
Yeah,
I think they have a little better on the outside at wide receiver. I think they're a little better in the defensive line. Yeah, and I just think they're a little better. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, but I think they're gonna win.
that's fair. Let's see. Iowa and Iowa State. I picked Iowa.
I think I picked Iowa, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Then we have Ole Miss and Tulane. I pick Ole Miss.
I think I picked Ole Miss. See, I'm having to. What was this? What was the spread?
7.5.
I don't know if I picked the spread though. I might have
Okay.
picked because I'm going on the spread. So you picking them to cover Ole Miss?
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
think
if
they'll cover.
I think it's close. I think it's actually one of those like 38-31 games. So I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know what I picked, but I think I picked Ole Miss to win. But I don't know.
I'll figure it out. But then you have Cincinnati and Pittsburgh.
Well, I have these picks. So just a record, I have these picks. I just
Sure,
with my
you do
fun.
have them, but
Yeah.
yep, it's okay.
So
It's okay. This way, at least we're still talking about them. That's the main thing. So we have Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. I have Cincinnati. I'm picking them, and I think they're going to cover the spread at 7.5.
it's at Pittsburgh. I think I picked Pittsburgh, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. And then next one we have Texas and Bama. I'm picking Texas.
What is the spread?
7.5.
You picked Texas to do what?
I think they're going to win.
No. No. Maybe cover. And I think I actually maybe did pick Texas to cover. Yeah, I don't see Alabama losing at home. I trust Alabama too. I think they're better defensively. There is some
Okay.
question marks at quarterback. Alabama is still Alabama at home. Good defense. Yeah, I'm taking Alabama. I think I might pick Texas to cover.
Gotcha. All right. Next got Oregon and Texas Tech. I did pick Oregon.
Oregon to cover.
Spread is 6.5. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that spread's pretty close. I just think Oregon. I just think is better. I think Texas gonna play good. I think they're going to be pretty close at half, but I think Oregon walks away with about a 15-point victory in the second half.
Probably. Next game is UCF and Boise State. I picked Boise State. The spread is 3.5, and I think they're going to cover as well.
Yeah, I pick Boise.
Then you have Arizona and Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State will win.
It's Arizona State, isn't it?
No, Arizona.
Oh, it's Arizona.
Arizona and Mississippi State.
Really? Hold on a second.
Yep.
I thought it was. Oh yeah, you're right. It is. Okay. At Mississippi State, it's at Mississippi State. It's at Starkville. I just think they're better on people. Yeah.
Then you have UCLA at San Diego State. I don't think
UCLA was
UCLA is going to lose.
what?
I don't think they're going to lose this game.
So you pick UCLA.
I am. And I think they will cover.
What's the cut? What's the
13.5.
No, that's right. I think UCLA does win, but I think it's like a 7-point victory. They played with their food last week and could have gotten in trouble, but Coastal Carolina started making turnovers. I don't know. UCLA looked a little sketchy last week. I don't trust them as much as I thought I did. They need to stick with
Okay.
one quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
It needs to be Dante Moore.
Okay. Wisconsin and Washington State.
I do think
I'm going to pick Wisconsin.
I think it's a pretty close game though.
Yeah, it's 6.5 is the
Wouldn't be
spread.
shocked if Washington State covered. It's
Okay.
it's pretty close. Either Wisconsin will barely cover, or I think Wisconsin wins, but I think it's pretty close.
Okay. Then you have Oklahoma State and Arizona State. It's 3.5. I'm picking Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Arizona State's not a good team.
Yeah. And then you have finally Auburn against California, and the spread is 6.5.
I think Auburn. Cal did look a little better than I thought. But I think Auburn's better.
That's who I picked. And then when they said the total score, I put it 95.
Holy crap. I think I had maybe like 70. Because I think I have been
Okay.
winning 42-28.
Okay, I mean,
95? What's the score?
let's see. $48. Actually, no, 54-41. Because right now with how the first week was, how you didn't really see defense for certain teams. Like you saw a lot of offense. I'm waiting to see how for these two schools, if you see that they're gonna have defense or if it's gonna be just like how TCU in Colorado was. Got a 50-50 shot either way, but that's why I'm at least looking into it. So I mean, either way, it's just going to be good games, and it's gonna be games that we gotta.
Yeah, it's a good weekend. I mean, not top 25. There's only like 2 of them, but like there's a lot of teams that could end up being top 25 playing against each other. Yeah, it's a good weekend. A&M, Texas, I'm sorry, A&M and Miami and North Carolina State and Notre Dame and I mean just like Oregon, Texas Tech. You just have a lot of really solid games.
Yeah, so I mean, the other one we can talk about is Liberty because doesn't Liberty play this week?
They do play against New Mexico State. Liberty looked pretty good last week. Won 34-24. Forced 5 turnovers, had a pick 6. Played.
The Joker mask, I believe.
Yep, they played very solid on defense. I thought they had trouble on the edge in the second half. They need to clean that up. Offensively, they ran the ball pretty well. Caden Salter, good athlete, good with his feet, needs to work. The passing he worries me, and I also thought there was a lack of separation in the wide receiver group. The wide receiver group has a couple guys injured. I didn't think they're very deep, and maybe a little bit of a talent problem there. So I'm a little worried about their passing game, but they can run the ball. They're pretty good on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and they have pretty good secondary. So, we'll see. I think this is a decent test. New Mexico State is a really good offense. New Mexico State can run the ball. So it'll be a good test.
Sounds like a plan, and I mean, we'll definitely see how it goes. But well, sir, I appreciate the time you've given me, and I just looked at the clock, so I know it's about time for you to
I'm
catch that bed.
tired. I tell you what, I'm already feeling it, bro.
So I got two questions. Liberty wins or loses?
Wins. I'm gonna pick him.
Okay. Are they going to cover whatever the spread is?
I don't know what the spread is. I think it is kind of a high score game. I'm thinking like because New Mexico State is a pretty good offense, but they
Mhm.
don't have a very good defense. So I think, and it's on the road, so their defense probably won't travel that well, but they can run the ball, which means they'll travel pretty well. I think it's going to be like 38-35.
Okay. I will pick Liberty to win and cover the spread, whatever it is, and we'll find out about that next week. And as long as we can get you on, we'll do the picks next week. And if not, you can always make sure that we get the information. Last thing, how would we find you if we were going to try to find you outside of here, sir?
Find me on Twitter at TurnerCast. And if you're trying to find me right now, forget about it. I'm going to sleep because I'm tired.
Understand, but sir, I appreciate the time and look forward to seeing you next week. And we will definitely message between both of us later on in the week and figure out how the picks are.
Hopefully I win. All right. See you, dude.
Take care. He's already up 4, ladies and gentlemen. That was Tyler Turner, host of the Turner Cast. And well, I was glad he was able to come on because I wanted to make sure that we went through and talked about the different sports so far for the top 25. Although those were just the CBS Sports pick. Now, right now, going through the AP top 25, you have Georgia number 1, you have Michigan number 2, you have Alabama number 3, you have Florida State number 4, you have Ohio State number 5, you have USC number 6, you have Penn State number 7, you have Washington number 8, you have Tennessee number 9, you have Notre Dame number 10, you have Texas number 11, you have Utah number 12, you have Oregon number 13, you have LSU number 14, you have Kansas State number 15, you have Oregon State number 16, you have North Carolina number 17, you have Oklahoma number 18, you have Utah number 19, you have Wisconsin number 19, you have Ole Miss number 20, you have Duke number 21, you have Colorado number 22, you have Texas A&M number 23, you have Tulane number 4, and you have Clemson number 25. And so looking at this week scoreboard, you have Youngstown State going against number 5 Ohio State at noon on the Big Ten Network. You have Georgia playing Ball State at noon on the SEC Network. You have Delaware playing Penn State on Peacock at noon. You have Notre Dame playing NC State at noon on ABC. You have Utah playing Baylor on ESPN at noon. You have Troy playing Kansas State at noon on FS1. You have Fox. On Fox, you have Nebraska and Colorado at noon. At 2:15, you have Charleston Southern Clemson on the ACC Network. On CBS at 3:30, you have Michigan and UNLV. On ESPN2, you have Ole Miss and Tulane at 3:30. On ABC at 3:30, you have Texas A&M and Miami. At 5 o'clock on the Pac-12 network, you have Tulsa and Washington. At 5 o'clock on ESPN Plus and SEC Network Plus, you have Austin Peay against Tennessee. At 5:15 on the ACC Network, you have Appalachian State against North Carolina. At 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus, you have Oklahoma against SMU. At 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus and ACC Network, you have Lafayette against Duke. At 7 o'clock on ESPN, you have Texas against Alabama. At 7 o'clock on Fox, you have Oregon against Texas Tech. At 7:30 on ESPN Plus, you have Grambling and LSU. At 7:30 on ABC, you have Wisconsin and Washington State. At 8:30 on the ACC Network, you have Southern Miss and Florida State. At 9 o'clock on the Pac-12, you have UC Davis against Oregon State. And at 10:30 on Fox, you have Stanford going against USC. And coming in fashionably late as always, we have Mr. Bob Albus. Jack and man of many trades. So very good to see you, sir. How are we doing tonight? Not too bad. Just going over the top 25 rankings and just the different games that are going to be happening this weekend. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot first of all. How happy were you that Clemson lost to Duke?
I mean, you got to give Duke a lot of credit. Coach Elko is doing great things down there. And you got to wonder, is this a big head scratcher for Clemson? Which way do they go from here? New OC and Lincoln Riley's brother. You got a lot of personnel changes. Can Dabo be a reload guy, and can they be serious contenders for the national title? I think a lot of questions, if you were answering questions on week one, weren't positive for the Tigers, but we got a lot of football to be played.
So true, so true. I thought that was very interesting though for how that was so far, just with how it turned out. Because that game, even though it looks like it was a lot more lopsided than it was still a heck of a game to watch.
Very much so.
Let's see. I'm getting all this information set up that you and me were talking about. So what did you think about some of the upsets that happened this weekend?
It's week one, so there's a lot of I think a lot of I don't want to say people finding themselves, but I don't know that you can push the panic button or the rejoice button off week one. But I'll tell you what, Colorado's certainly pushing the rejoice button right now. TCU maybe hitting the panic button a little bit because they feel like that's a game they shouldn't have lost. I don't think Florida State or LSU should either one punch any type of buttons right now. So, I mean, those are the two big ones that stick out to me. But I think there is a lot of football left to be played, a lot of football.
I definitely agree with you on that. And I'm waiting to see how that is going to turn out for the most part, just because I noticed that, like I was talking with Tyler about, a lot of the games were blowouts, plain and simple.
Well, and you got to think about it too. I mean, a lot of times in early season matchups, aside from the made for TV matchups, people are looking for games that they can win. I don't know that TCU envisioned Colorado has what it was, obviously, but also I don't think anybody envisioned Deion Sanders coaching at Colorado once last year started either. So, I mean, you're right. A lot of games are blowouts because of, who people are scheduling. It's intended to be a 1-0 record for some people. So, I don't know that any team that really clobbered their opponent this week really knows what they had because of the level of play they played against. And you got to look at it this way too. Once the conference season starts, then the week one matchups where you beat Tennessee State or, UMass or whoever, you're not going to remember that.
True. Very true. So, since I've got you on here, sir, I was going to try and, since we haven't had time to do this because of how busy things have been, I was going to try and go through all of the top 25 rankings for the different sports the NCAA has for the fall seasons. Figured we'd start with field hockey first. Actually, it's like field hockey, I guess they haven't started yet, or they haven't I know some of the games have started, but looks like they haven't done their rankings for that yet, so we'll skip that one for now. Just because with the different sports, there are times we're not going to be able to talk about them, but I feel like it's important that we try to give them their due. And actually, I did just find the women's college field hockey rankings. We have Iowa at number 1, North Carolina at number 2, Northwestern number 3, Maryland number 4, Louisville number 5, Virginia number 6, Syracuse number 7, Michigan number 8, Liberty number 9, St. Joseph number 10, Penn State number 11, Rutgers number 12, Duke number 13, Harvard number 14, Princeton number 15, Boston College number 16, Wake Forest number 17, Ohio State number 18, Delaware number 19, and Massachusetts number 20. I mean, I'd say that for the beginning of the season, you've got a lot of, I guess you could say, chalk, but even still, it's good to see some parity already there. Although, I know the sport that you're waiting to talk about, sir. Yeah. See. Oh, it didn't pop up yet because I know that you ready for your sport?
Hit me.
Women's volleyball. We have Wisconsin number 1, Louisville number 2, Florida number 3, Nebraska number 4, Stanford number 5, Oregon number 6, Texas number 7, BYU number 8, Pittsburgh number 9, Minnesota number 10, Georgia Tech number 11, Penn State number 12, Washington State number 13, Baylor number 14, Ohio State number 15, Creighton number 16, Arkansas number 17, Tennessee number 18, Kentucky number 19, Purdue number 20, Houston number 21, Kansas number 22, Hawaii number 23, Marquette number 24, and Auburn number 25.
Yeah, normally you hear a lot about the Big Ten being loaded in college volleyball, but I only heard you mention 3 Big Ten teams there in it: Wisconsin, I want to say Nebraska, and Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. So
there's more in there, but those
Right,
are the
top
first top 3.
top 10. I thought there were
Yes.
only 3.
Correct, you got that. Yeah, you're right about that. In top 10, we only have 3 right now.
Right. So, it's going to be an interesting season because everybody else is getting better too. And it's not to say that Stanford or any of those other schools have ever been bad, but I think you've got a lot of schools that are getting better across the board right now, which is definitely a good thing in women's volleyball. And it's, all these sports that you're speaking of that are having early season polls come out, they're all a marathon. They're not a sprint.
Exactly. And I mean, the thing about Baylor, ranked number 14, they have a 1-2 record right now.
Right.
So, I mean, we're going to see that right there speaks to the parity that we're going to see later on in the year. So, I mean, that's a good way to start. Now, I was looking through, Bob, and I tried to figure out your favorite sport for the men that you focus on besides college football in the fall season. And I think I found it.
Okay.
You, sir, you like collegiate water polo.
Love it. Can't get enough.
That's kind of what I figured. So I was like, you know what, let's try to see what we get. So with that being said, we have University of California number 1, University of Southern California number 2, University of California Los Angeles number 3, University of California Davis 4, University of Pacific 5, Princeton and Stanford are tied at 6, University of California Irvine, Pepperdine, and Long Beach State University are tied at 8, University of California Santa Barbara is number 11, University of California San Diego is number 12, United States Naval Academy is number 13, Loyola Marymount's number 14, California Baptist University is number 15. San Jose State University is number 16. Brown University number 17. Harvard's number 18. Santa Clara University is number 19. Fordham number 20, tied with the United States Air Force Academy. Bob, did you happen to kind of notice a particular pattern here?
I think so, but you tell me what the pattern is, just in case I'm wrong. I don't want to sound stupid this early.
Well, it kind of sounded to me like there were a lot of schools from California.
True? Yeah, I heard that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 schools from California. Now, can I say I'm completely surprised? No, but bless you. But it just, we're probably not going to be talking about water polo a lot, but I figure that since we are in the beginning of the college sports season, it's better to at least mention it now, so that way later on, if we have a chance to mention it, say, come tournament time, we can always bring it up and give it some credits. That way people know what's coming up for it.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree on that 100%.
Just because, let's be honest, we're going to be focusing more on college football and other sports, but if we don't try to at least give the other sports their due, we're not doing something right. That's just my point of view, though. So
Right.
I'm willing to die on that hill. That being said, the next sport we have is men's soccer, and for the top 25, we have Stanford at number 1, Marshall at number 2, Portland at number 3, Syracuse at number 4, Akron at number 5, UCF at number 6, Louisville at number 7, James Madison number 8, Wake Forest at number 9, Duke at number 10, Florida International number 11, Vermont number 12, Missouri State number 13, Penn State number 14, Indiana number 15, West Virginia number 16, Denver number 17, Southern Illinois, Edwardsville number 18, Kentucky number 19, Notre Dame number 20, Wisconsin number 21, SMU number 22, Seton Hall number 23, Loyola Marymount number 4, and Washington number 25.
How about Akron? How about a little love for the Zips getting in there
Yeah.
at number 5?
Yeah, that was pretty good. And I mean, one thing, did you watch the Illinois game this last weekend?
Smidges, not a ton, but I saw a bit.
Illinois had all they could handle against Toledo. They barely won that game. They needed a game-winning field goal to win that game. So
Well, I saw a MAC team in person over at Williams Stadium in Lynchburg with Bowling Green at Liberty, and I'll tell you what, I was not very enthralled by the MAC after seeing that school.
yeah, well, Bowling Green is definitely a different school, so to speak, but it was more Illinois should have shown more, but instead they barely survived. It was not what I expected for them to have happen. But that's why, like you said, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
That's why we play the games.
And so right now, let's jump into women's soccer, and this is the both for the soccer, we're using the United Soccer Coaches polls. We have BYU at number 1, Stanford number 2, North Carolina number 3, UCLA number 4, Florida State number 5, Penn State number 6, Arkansas number 7, Santa Clara number 8, Clemson number 9, South Carolina number 10, Notre Dame number 11, Alabama number 12, Georgetown number 13, Duke number 14, Washington State number 15, Memphis number 16, Texas number 17, Virginia number 18, Southern California number 19, Northwestern number 20, Xavier number 21, Pittsburgh number 22, Gonzaga number 23, Nebraska number 24, and TCU number 25, sorry. So There's definitely some parity here from the looks of it, to me at least.
Yep.
What do you think, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of blue bloods of soccer right in there though too. But like I said, I'll keep going back to it. Marathon, 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 marathon. And excuse me, allergies are fighting me right now. And they're winning. Most coaches will tell you though, it's not about where we start in the polls; it's where they finish. And I think a lot of coaches don't even put as much credence into the early season poll. They think it's great for the media and great for the fans, but I don't know how much they want their own players reading, but so much on it.
That's fair. I mean, normally I wouldn't do this, but I just realized that last year we hit a lot of the winter and the spring sports, but I kind of skipped over the fall sports. So I wanted to make sure that I give them their due when possible. And since college football just started, I figure it's better that I mention about the other ones at the same time because I think it's only fair.
I'm not saying we don't talk about it. I'm just saying I think coaches at the end of the day are not going to put as much credence in it for themselves and for their athletes. I don't think you're having
Of course.
coaches in women's soccer or in water polo or in whatever else talking about, hey, guess where we're ranked this week? Number 6 or number 7 or whatever. So I think they try to steer clear from that. Football is a different animal because football is talked about all the time. You can't get away from, if you are on any type of media, whether it's TV, internet, wherever, you're going to hear about some college or pro football. So I don't think, those guys can't get away from the rankings, but I definitely think coaches are not going to focus on those. But at the end of the day, for media, for fans and everything like that, it's always important. It's an argument topic if you want to be, but like you said, I think it's also about giving credit to those athletes who are out there working hard. And, we could talk about, there are probably so many teams that are not in the top 25 that we could talk about that are working hard. So, it doesn't just go with 25, but hey, that's how they get ranked. And that's what we talk about.
Exactly. And so now we're going to jump into preseason for cross country. We got the men, we got Northern Arizona. And so for this one, we're really going to have some parity. We got Northern Arizona number 1, Oklahoma State number 2, BYU number 3, Stanford number 4, Wisconsin number 5, North Carolina number 6, Colorado number 7, Notre Dame number 8, Portland number 9, UVA number 10, Syracuse number 11, Villanova number 12, Texas number 13, Harvard number 14, Oregon number 15, Tennessee number 16, Air Force number 17, Washington number 18, Butler number 19, Arkansas number 20, NC State number 21, Tulsa is also tied at number 21, Alabama is number 23, Princeton's number 4, and Iowa State rounds out the top 5. So, I mean, even though we do have the Blue Bloods, we've
Right.
got the Ivy League, the American Conference, the Mountain West, the WCC, and up at the top, you got the Big Sky Conference.
And, I think it's funny you talk about the blue bloods. Each sport has their own blue bloods. And some sports you may not think, because we hear it all the time in lacrosse. I mean, Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins is a blue blood in that sport, but people aren't going to hear the Johns Hopkins and think, wow, that's an NCAA blue blood. So I think blue bloods kind of differ on the sport a little bit more than anything, but yeah, I'm with you.
I definitely agree. And for the last sport that we have right now, we got women's cross country. And these are the preseasons for cross country. So it's definitely going to change later on in the year. But this way that we can say that we at least got the standings for how it's going to start. And then we can get the standings for how it finishes later on. We have Penn State at number 1, Northern Arizona at number 2, Oklahoma State number 3, Notre Dame number 4, Colorado number 5, North Carolina number 6, BYU number 7, Stanford number 8, Florida number 9, Oregon number 10, Virginia number 11, Georgetown also tied at number 11, Alabama number 13, Providence number 14, Washington number 15, Ohio State number 16, Michigan State number 17, Wisconsin number 18, Arkansas number 19, Oregon State number 20, New Mexico number 21, Utah number 22, Florida State number 23, California Baptist number 24, and Michigan at number 25. So even though right there weren't a whole lot of schools that say we would know about that weren't in the main like blue bloods,
Right.
Northern Arizona was in both polls for one of the schools. I mean, that's something that I would have. It sounds like for cross country, they sound like blue blood in that case.
Yep.
So, well, I did want to ask you for Virginia playing Tennessee. Yes, it was a blowout, but it was the first game that Virginia's played since 3 of their players were murdered. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't know. Because at some point I think everybody has to, and I don't say this to be callous, move on. Virginia Tech did it after the shooting that they had tragically that took out the biggest mass shooting in the United States at that time. I think, but that shooting at Virginia Tech didn't hit a football program in terms of none of their players was lost. I think Virginia's going to have a tough time this year, regardless of situations. Does it get them maybe a little bit more oomph? I don't know, but the Hoos are going to have a tough time. It wasn't easy going to Tennessee, and this week they'll have a not easy JMU squad. So I think if the Hoos can use it as a rallying cry, that's great. And it's a tragedy what happened to those young men. One of which is recovering, 2 of which unfortunately don't have that opportunity. But I think it's a good deal for the football program to heal. And I think sometimes the best way to heal is get out on the field, play a game.
True, and I believe 3 passed away.
Okay. I
And
wanted to
there
say it
was-
was 2. I wanted to say it was 3 players from the football team. 2 passed away, and I thought 1 was making a recovery.
Okay, because I know that they've already talked about the next game. They're going to have a ceremony where George is going to put, I think, flowers or something at the 3-yard lines for the players who passed away.
And this will be Virginia's first home game of the season, so definitely a time for them to take it on, and we'll see. I mean, like I said, I think Virginia is going to have to find something to get behind. When a tragedy happens within your own program, it is something that can bring you together. But I mean, I don't know, and I'm not trying to be callous. You are correct. 3 Virginia football players did die, so I do apologize. But yeah, I mean, it's going to definitely be something to where, you're playing for your guys at that case. You're playing for your brothers who were not given the opportunity to play again. Deshaun Perry, Devin Chandler, and Lavelle Davis Jr. They're not given that opportunity again. And it's sad what happened, but I do think that Virginia is just going to have to really do a gut check and see what they can do. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what's going on in that football team for the Cavaliers. It's got to be, and you don't have a coach too, and a coaching staff and players, unless you have been in a situation to where there was a mass shooting before, you don't have a playbook on how do we handle this. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So definitely different for them as well.
That's true. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I just thought about that and wanted to make sure to ask you about that just because, well, it's going to be interesting. We're going to see about it. And that link that I sent you last week, I don't know if you had joined it yet for CBS for the picks. If you haven't, we'll look into doing that next week. What it is you, me, and Tyler, and we're going to try to do picks to see who could do the best for this year. Right now, Tyler's up 4 games because I didn't do it last week. I was able to set it up for this week.
Okay.
So it's something that you can just register for. It's completely free, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just making picks, and then that way it'll keep the score for us.
Sure.
So we can see how that goes. So it'll be something that we can check because even though I did succeed last year, I just kind of ignored it. But I want to see if how I can do this year against both of you. I'm not expecting too much, and I'm just waiting to see how it turns out in the end.
Yeah, you never know. You might find the horseshoe again.
Hey, yeah, no, that reminds me. Outside of here, I have a story to tell you that well, yeah, I learned about the horseshoe, and I learned about how when you throw the horseshoe, you can hit the pole, I believe.
Right.
That's how you get the points.
Ringer.
Yep, I learned how to hit the ringer, and I learned how to miss the ringer very badly. So that's a
Well,
story that you and me will talk about offline, though.
horseshoe for you, or maybe going to the big house. One of the two.
Well, we'll figure it out either way. That is true. That is true. Especially since I'm an Ohio State fan, we're going to see how that goes. But I didn't really feel like they had the best first game, but it was McCourt's first game at quarterback. They've got the rest of the year to see how it goes, but I think he's got to be more accurate as a passer. I'm not saying bench him, but I want to see how he does because you've got one of the most exciting players in college football that he gets to throw to, Marvin
Right.
Harrison Jr., his old high school teammate. So I just want to see how that turns out for next week because I think it's going to be better. Not that I think Youngstown State's really going to do much, but still, I think that he's going to get a lot of confidence in that game. He can use that confidence for the rest of the year.
I agree.
One other game I'll ask about real quick, just because I know that, well, it's getting kind of late and we both got to pretend like we're going to sleep for a little while. So, how do you feel about Alabama and Texas?
I feel a lot better if it was at Texas.
Actually, it is.
Oh, it is? I thought it was in Alabama.
Let me make sure. Thought it was, but let me verify because I could be wrong. Let's see.
Maybe I read it backwards.
No, maybe I read it wrong. That's why I want to make sure. Nope, you're right. It's at Bryant Denny. My mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel a lot better if I was Texas and playing the game at Texas. I mean, it's hard to go there and win. It is really hard to go there and win. It should be an interesting game though. I mean, Texas last week, they took care of their business. Alabama took care of theirs. It's an early season matchup, and I think it's always better to lose early than it is to lose late because I think you can still stay in the playoff hunt. But at the same time, do you really want to be 1-1? I'd rather be 1-1 than 0-2.
True. I mean, I told Tyler I'm picking Texas for the win, so we're gonna see what happens.
You also picked South Carolina.
I did. Yeah, he was giving me a little grief about that too. So go ahead, sir. You can get on
I
your
was going to say
soapbox.
that might not have worked out well.
Yeah, I may have made the wrong pick. You know what? I'll own that pick. I'll roll with that pick, and I'll just see how it does the rest of the year.
Now, are we picking these games on spread or on straight?
Well, what it is on CBS when you go there, it'll pick it for. You can look at the over and the under, and then depending on which one you can say if it covers or not, you'll look at that after the fact. So
Okay, because I'm looking at it right now and it's got spreads on there.
yeah, so what I do is you pick the spread, and then if they cover, You can say here. I'll jump on with you real quick
got you.
because what it is it's figure out if you want to pick. Like, say if this says they're gonna win, then you can say that you'll go with the spread or not. So because I picked like NC State, I think they're gonna cover and win. Utah, I think they're gonna cover and win. Colorado, I think they're gonna cover and win. Miami, I think they're gonna cover and win. Iowa, I think they'll cover and win. Mississippi, I think they're gonna cover and win. Cincinnati, I do think they're gonna cover and win. Same with Oregon. Same with Boise State. I think my picks, I think they're gonna cover for most of them.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's telling me my picks are in.
okay.
So I picked
Is-
I guess on the spread. Doesn't bother me picking on, I have no qualms about picking on a spread, picking off a spread, whatever it is. But I like to know what I'm
Yeah.
doing, which happens so frequently in this world.
I understand. That's why for me, I looked at that and I wanted to make sure I mentioned that to you just because I made sure it was free as well, just because for me I wasn't gonna pay. I was like, you know what? I want to at least make some. I'll make my picks. That's not a problem, but I try to keep what pennies I make. I try to keep them in my pocket, if you know what I mean.
I understand that fully.
So that was why when Tyler set that up and I looked at it myself and I saw how it was, I'm like, okay, let me let Bob know because it passed my test. It should pass your test in this way. We can see how it goes. And right now with the picks, we're only 4 games down.
Okay.
Last week Tyler went 4-15.
Okay.
So
It'll be fun.
exactly. Oh, you sound a little more distant now, sir. So let's see. That must mean the time's about running out. So if we were going to try to find you, which I know is a dangerous and desperate thing outside of here, how would we do so?
Well, obviously, don't find me on my phone if I sound distant, because that won't work for you. Always visit me, the Sports Buffet Twitter, but I try to be a recluse every now and again, hide. I don't have any big furniture I can just go under though, and until I lose some weight, there's not a lot of places I can hide.
I hear you. For me, I don't really hide either, but being that we're both girl dads, tomorrow my daughter, she's getting braces, so I think she's gonna be okay, but it's a transition she's not really looking forward to because she's gonna wear them for 2 years, but I
Yep.
think it's gonna work out for her.
Yep.
Just because I'm sure I know that I believe you and your children had to deal with them at least a little bit, or
Nope.
maybe you. Nope.
Me.
Okay.
I had braces, but the kids have not had any dental issues that would require such.
Wow. They're
Yep.
very lucky. Yeah, no, just because I know my daughter's not gonna be happy about it, but I know it's gonna work out for her. So
Absolutely.
that and well, the next week she'll probably be able to, depending on what she's allowed to get. She's going to basically be getting a lot of whatever they're allowing her to have. So she won't
Yeah.
have to worry about if it's
No, I've had
allowed.
braces and with wisdom teeth out.
Yep.
The wisdom teeth is a little bit of a bigger deal because
Yes.
that I mean, you're only down for like a few days, but that is going to you're going to be eating a lot of soft foods for a while. The mashed potatoes, the jello, the puddings, braces. I mean, you're just staying away from the sticky stuff. No popcorn. At least when I had them, like 20 some years ago. So it's maybe 30 some years ago. You're not eating the cotton candy, the popcorn, the sticky stuff that can stick in those braces. As I do
Yep.
the illustration
Yep.
for you. But the wisdom teeth, I remember I had my wisdom teeth out and I had I was managing the football team then. It was my junior year. and the dentist was actually the football referee for that week's game. I thought I was still on drugs because I looked at him and I'm like, "Are you?" He's like, "Yeah." But I remember I didn't eat pregame meal with the rest of the team. I went to Hardee's when Hardee's was actually selling chicken and mashed potatoes at that time, and
Okay.
I'm looking like one of those people that'll go get a bottle and they're drinking it out of a brown bag. That's the way I was with mashed potatoes. I'm eating it out of a brown paper bag at that point. So the braces to me, that alters your eating habits a little bit, but I would be more worried if I was going to have the wisdom teeth out in terms of anxiety and fear. But with kids, anytime you implement change, there's going to be a little bit of fear.
That's I know she's gonna do okay, but it's definitely not the most fun she's ever gonna have.
Nope.
Now, if you did try to make the mistake of finding me, you would find me at Alan.west.46 on Instagram and Facebook, or Alan F. West on Twitter. So we're gonna see how everything goes. But I think that about cleans up the bases, at least on mine. Is there anything you can think of we haven't tried to talk about, sir?
I was going to say they could maybe find you at a random orthodontist too, but that would be quite a hike if you're going to every orthodontist and you hope you see Alan there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I actually will not be making an appearance tomorrow. I have to work, so
Gotcha.
I will be there after the fact and being the one who makes sure that everything else gets taken care of. So
You'll pull through. It'll be fine.
absolutely. No, she's not exactly happy, but she knows it's gonna be fine. So you know
Yep.
what? It'll work
Yep.
out for her. And well, just like you and me next week, depending on if Tyra comes on or not, we'll be able to see how our picks are and see how the score will be and if we got the spread or not, because if so, that'll be able to change the scores a little bit more.
I expect nothing good out of my picks.
Well, I expect maybe 50% out of mine. And I mean, Tyler set the standard 4 out of 15. So you know what? It just means we'll be able to do better no matter what, hopefully.
Hopefully.
But that being said, that is Bob Alvis. I am Alan West. This has been the